It's
Welcome to the unofficial Steelers podcast, the podcast so unofficial it doesn't have a home. Here's your host from In Hindsight, Nathan Heintz. From Steelers Nation Australia, Mark Davison. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the unofficial Steelers podcast. I'm Daniel, joined by Nathan Heintz of In Hindsight. Nathan, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. Went and got a haircut today. Had to clean my car, and it's kind of hot out today up here, man. So not too bad, but ready for it to cool down.
Well, it's not 103 out there, is it?
No, it's not. Thank God.
That's what it was today here. And so,
unbelievable. Happy fall, Daniel. Happy
Right.
Fall's coming.
At least it wasn't 110. That's what I got to say. That's the type of degrees that we've been dealing with.
Yeah.
But we have a game this week. The Pittsburgh
Yeah, we
Steelers are prepared. They're going into this game, in my opinion, pretty healthy. There's nothing, real big setbacks, nothing major. Not the same can be said for the San Francisco 49ers. Yet the Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-point underdogs. How does that make you feel about the Steelers being underdogs in this first week against a team that's limping into the start of the season?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, just given San Francisco, like they're a Super Bowl favorite again this year. They have a lot of talent. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I think Steelers will be favorited in more games than they were last year, which is which I see that happening. But San Francisco, they've kind of earned that. They're going to be favored in probably most games.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm not upset about it, but underdogs at home. Yeah, I think that does leave a sour taste amongst the players. I don't think they want to see that. So I think that's more fuel to the fire. And I'm excited to see, how this team is going to respond. Now, did you hear about the words that George Kittle had for TJ Watt?
No, didn't read any of that.
So apparently he told TJ Watt not to run around him, to run through him, challenging him. And then he goes and pulls a groin, I believe. So I don't think he's going to be out there. There's a good chance that he may not be out there.
That sounds about right. Dude, he's a cool dude. I think he's entertaining. But he is arguably the number one player in the league who is a walking piece of glass.
Yeah.
He is a piece of paper at the end of the day. So that doesn't surprise me that he's going to probably miss this game.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm pretty sure he's going to tape it up, but he's not going to be the same. Nick Bosa is a guy that on the defensive side for the 49ers is probably, their captain of the defense normally if he wasn't, not attending training camp due to contractual reasons.
Yeah.
So he might make his, debut, but even if he does, there's no way he's in football shape. And I doubt he plays more than half the snaps if he does come in, just because, I know people will look at, hey, TJ Watt, he sat out, when he had his contract, came in, wreaked havoc. Right. But in that situation, TJ Watt at least went to training camp and was, participating in things. He wasn't participating in anything that dealt with contact, but he was still going through the walkthroughs and the working out and things of that nature. So what kind of a impact are you expecting Nick Bosa to have, if any, if he even shows up on Sunday?
No, you make some really valid points on that. He hasn't had one glimpse of action ever since last year. So, yeah, I think he's going to be limited. If he decides to play, great. Hey, bring it on. But if he decides to play, he's going to be limited. He ain't going to play every snap. He's not going to be himself. He's not just going to jump back up there and be ready for going up against other offensive linemen and being able to be physical like that. He's not going to be doing that. So I'm not going to say he won't be a non-factor, but it's not going to be the Nick Bosa that the league knows. And I said this too, like when they came up, or when it came up with them playing San Francisco week 1. This is the best time of year to play them. Is week 1.
Yeah.
Not later in the year. And now you have a situation where George Kittle could miss this game. You have a situation where Nick Bosa could miss this game. Or even if they both play, they ain't going to be themselves. You have a situation of where Brock Purdy, you're going to be able to take advantage of him right away. Coming out of the gates right away against, this could be his most difficult defense all year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great opportunity for the Steelers to make a point right away. This is a great opportunity for the Steelers to take advantage of this game. Because if they played San Francisco later in the year, it could not look good. Just given the fact, if they're healthy at the end of the year, they're playing well. The Niners aren't a slouch. But at this point in time right now, they're a team that you can take advantage of, that you can take advantage of their weaknesses right now and come out with a dub. So this is a great opportunity for the Steelers right now.
I agree, especially given the circumstances with their quarterback and how he's been on limited reps throughout preseason and throughout training camp. Apparently he's in 100% for this week, but until this week, even last week, he had limited reps because of his arm. His arm, the surgery on his elbow took place 2 weeks after he initially wanted it to, because there was some inflammation, and he thought that could end up jeopardizing him and, the start of the season. I know he's played some special team. He's played some vanilla defenses in preseason. I don't think he's going to be ready for the speed that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense brings.
Yeah.
When the Steelers offensive line played, after they played Buffalo, they mentioned that the speed of the Buffalo's defense was slower than what they felt the defense was in training camp.
Yeah.
And, I think it's going to be an eye-opening for Brock Purdy. But everybody's going to look at that. You're looking at the Kenny Pickett versus Brock Purdy, the first quarterback taken in last year's draft versus the last player taken in last year's draft. Who needs this win more, in your opinion, Purdy or Pickett?
Pickett, definitely. Reason why is Purdy took the Niners to the NFC Championship last year. Didn't lose a game till then.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at Kenny didn't really have that good of a rookie year. Finished the year off in a good way. But if Kenny comes out of the gates, plays well, and they beat San Francisco, that's a great look for him. That's a great look for this team that isn't favored and has been overlooked a little bit this offseason. If San Francisco loses this game, people are still going to know that San Francisco is San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
They know there's still going to be a factor in the NFC. And even if Brock Purdy doesn't play well, it's still going to be like, hey, he still did really well last year. They played a good defense, but they're probably still going to expect him to do well. With Kenny on the other side, Kenny has a lot to prove this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if Kenny comes out of this gates, has a good game, Steelers beat him, that's even just a huge jolt up for this team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Steelers have the it's more of a bigger game for them than the Niners.
I agree. And, that's the other thing as well. This is a, interconference game. The Steelers are in the AFC, 49ers in the NFC. This game probably doesn't mean much. If the Steelers or 49ers were to lose at the end of the day, right? When the season's done and tiebreakers are done, this matchup really isn't one that's as important as, one of your division or conference teams that you're playing. So with that said, I think that, that might lead to another reason why we may not see some of these players, Kittle and Bosa, because this game's probably not that important to the 49ers. But with that said, you're right. This is not a slouch team.
No.
Shanahan's offense is designed to get, their running backs open and receivers open in the short game.
Yeah.
And just kind of, confuse defenses. Now, fortunately for the Steelers, I think the defense is it's experienced. It's very experienced, and they're very good, and they don't have to think much. That's one of the things that Minka Fitzpatrick comes forward and says quite a bit. He says that the defense that he wants to be a part of isn't one that's thinking, it's reacting, it's moving fast.
Right.
And I think this defense is probably around there, and I'm excited for it. How do you think that the Steelers defense is going to match up against a Christian McCaffrey, a Brian or Ayuk? What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
there you go.
It's going to be interesting. This is going to be a good showcase for the new linebacking group. I'm interested to see how they're going to utilize all three of them. But McCaffrey, man, is so talented. He's such a dual threat back. They just got to play their cards right, and whenever he gets back, like whenever he's in the open field, whether he's swinging outside, whether he's doing a cut up the middle to catch a pass, whatever it is, it's a dangerous game when you swing McCaffrey out as a receiver. So you got to make sure that you're playing your cards right with who you're going to have on him. Deebo Samuel is someone who's freaking speed galore. So you have to make sure that you have the right guy on him. Now, Deebo, they could use as a back. Deebo, they could use as a deep threat. Deebo, they could use as somebody who's just running a slant route and try to get in yards after the catch. He's honestly kind of a little bit of a dual wide receiver. But I'm going to tell you, though, man, like other than those two, if you're really keen on those two, let some of those other guys beat you. Because even if George Kittle plays, he's going to be limited. Like, let a guy like Ayuk beat you. Like, Ayuk isn't that bad. I think he's a little overrated. But let a guy like Ayuk beat you. Let a backup tight end beat you. If you can get McCaffrey contained and get pressure on Brock Purdy, this defense is going to find success. I feel like those are the two biggest key points: contain McCaffrey, pressure on Purdy, and I don't see this team giving up any more than 17 points.
Yeah, I'm on the same board.
Yeah,
I'm on the same board with you. Do you think that we're going to see McCaffrey pass if the Steelers come out very aggressive? And I can see the 49ers trying to pull a trick play here and there, especially it's week one. Yeah. There's none of that on tape, so it could be a big surprise. But I think we'll see at least one, at least one trick play, I guess. Okay. And I think that trick play is going to be the McCaffrey pass. What are your thoughts? Any predictions on trick plays or anything like that in this game?
I don't really know. I know that San Francisco is really crafty. It doesn't surprise me if Shanahan does a certain thing like that or two throughout the season. If it warrants it, I mean, he's got kind of a mind to do something like that. There's no doubting his mind offensively. There's a reason why you plug and play whoever you want in his system. It's going to thrive. Matt Ryan, freaking Jimmy G, Purdy, Sam Darnold probably. Freaking there was another quarterback that they plugged in there. God, what was his name?
Trey Lance.
No,
he didn't do too well there.
No, there was another quarterback though that they had for a certain amount of games that did well. I can't remember his name. But anyway, I mean, even if they do, and even if they get beat by a trick play, you can let yourself get beat by that. But don't let them beat you with McCaffrey and get Brock Purdy's ass on the ground. And all is going to go well. I'll leave it. That's what I'm going to leave it at on that. Just because you can contain a Deebo, you can contain an injured George Kittle. McCaffrey's tough. And I 100% believe that's going to be the number one game plan.
Yeah,
how
when you look at their team
and limit him.
Yeah. The Steelers, when they've gone up against teams and they have a clear objective as far as who they think is the person you have to limit, they've been able to do so in the past. I mean, Joe Mixon has been a guy that the Steelers won't let beat them, and he hasn't. I think in this situation, I think that the Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are probably going to target McCaffrey and have him be that guy that doesn't beat them. Especially like we mentioned before, Kittle might be banged up. If he has a growing injury, those soft tissue injuries, in my opinion, they're very easy to tweak, especially relatively soon after it's done. If it happened, yesterday in practice or today in practice, I mean, he's only looking at about 4 days to, recovery, and on a growing injury, that's going to be tough. And I was listening to Ramon Foster's show, and he was talking about with those type of injuries, you can tape it, but it's just one turn, one twist, and you're done skis. And so, I don't think he's going to be much of a factor anymore because of that, because of his limitations. I have faith in the Steelers defense. But speaking of the defense, they recently signed Desmond King. Where do you think he's going to be playing, if at all, in this first game? He's just very new to the team. Do you think he makes his Steelers debut this week? And if so, do you see him more in the slot?
Yeah, dude, Desmond King's a beast. Desmond King's a freaking beast. And if Houston had a competitive team, he wouldn't have been cut. He was simply cut for salary reasons. He was simply cut just because they had younger, cheaper options at his position. Desmond King deepens this cornerback group massively. Like, this is a massive upgrade over Arthur Millette last year. This is an upgrade over Shannon Sullivan. This is an upgrade over Elijah Riley. Desmond King is going to be the starting slot receiver for most of the season. Don't know how much time he'll get week one, just considering the fact that he's been on the team just for a week. Maybe he might get a little bit of time, but I think more primarily slot, we're going to see him in there. Maybe not a ton week one, but I think really once we start hitting week 2 and week 3, I think Desmond King's going to be the solidified slot starter. 100%. He's a guy, dude. He can pick you off. He can tackle you. He's not as good as Mike Hilton, but I think that he's somebody that, like, if you look at the year when we lost Mike Hilton, if you plugged in Desmond King that year after that, I don't think you would see a huge ton of drop off, if that makes sense. Not as good, but he's somebody that can carry himself. And he's somebody that this team has missed in the slot the last 2 years. I'm telling you that right now. Desmond King was a huge signing, and literally his signing alone made me bump up the Steelers another win this year.
So you have him at what then?
11 wins.
11 wins, just because of the Desmond King.
Just that alone. Just that alone. I actually, before we did this, I recorded a video I'm going to put out probably later tonight or tomorrow. I kind of have him sitting at 10 just to be more reserved, but I feel like 11 is more of my optimistic type prediction, and I feel comfortable with that. Just with after preseason set in, and once they signed him,
So who do you think, offensive, defensively, it doesn't matter, who's a dark horse that you think is going to end up showing up in this game? Who's going to make a big play? And nobody's talking.
Oh man, it's a good question. It's a good question. Who's a good kind of guy? It's going to make a big impact. King will be fun to watch. Absolutely. He's going to be fun to watch. His impact's going to be seen right away. That's a good question, Daniel. I'm gonna say Cole Holcomb. I'm gonna say Cole Holcomb just simply because we finally have a guy who can, if he's healthy, we finally have a guy who can be a tackling machine. We have somebody who's going to get you over 100 tackles. We have somebody who's going to create at least a couple turnovers throughout the season. But I think this game, especially if you get a McCaffrey on a swing route, or if you get a McCaffrey up the middle, or if you get a Debo coming across, Cole Holcomb, sure, he's not one of the top inside linebackers in the league, but he's someone, dude, who's tough. He's somebody who can get off his blocks. And I don't see him. I think that he's going to, whenever we watch him, I think that we're going to look at him week one and be like, yep, this is kind of what we've missed a little bit. And I think that he's gonna be inside there, man. He ain't gonna be giving up. He ain't gonna be giving up breakaway runs. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
And so
I'm excited about him.
I have a lot of encouragement in him being a guy that's gonna help contain McCaffrey on the ground.
I'm looking forward to that. When it comes to the other inside linebacker, so when it comes to a player, offense or defense, that I think making a big impact in this game, I think that I'm probably leaning towards on the offensive side with Pat Freiermuth. I think with all the weapons that are on the outside, you have your running back. I think he's going to end up getting open in the middle. Last season, the Steelers weren't very good at play action pass and or throwing middle. And a lot of people were, crapping on Matt Canada about it. But when you look at, I think it's like the PFF grade, whatnot, Kenny Pickett throwing the play action pass was ranked last in the league. As far as success rate, his success rate was 51%. It was dead last. He was also dead last at also about 51% when it came to throwing over the middle. Now, I was listening to a scout who was talking about Kenny Pickett and his throws over the middle. Right. I think EK Sports, and he was talking about how in play action pass, your footwork and your timing is super important. And last season, that was one of the things that Kenny had that wasn't very good. His footwork was all over the place. He had happy feet. He left some clean pockets every now and then. I think that's the aspect of his game that he's cleaned up the most. When I've watched him in preseason, he looks calm, confident. His feet are underneath of him, and I think that because his timing is better and because his footwork is better, I think that implies why the velocity of the ball is traveling faster. It's not so much that he got X amount stronger. I think his form is better. And because of all those things, because of his lack of success last year, the Steelers didn't run it. So I think that there's a good possibility that the middle might be attacked and play action could be used, now that Kenny Pickett is more comfortable in this offense. So I think Pat Freiermuth might have a big day over the middle, especially if the 49ers are coming into this game telling themselves, hey, this team doesn't really throw over the middle. They don't really do play action pass. So, just go all out, balls to the wall. If you think it's a run, just go all out to the run to stop it. Right. And I think
I can see that. I think you make a great point there, man. I really do. I could see Freiermuth having a big day. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope he does for fantasy reasons. But yeah, dude, no, I hear you. I think offensively, you kind of picking that offensive player. I could see Freiermuth having a big day, man. I will say this. It was encouraging. Even though it was just a little bit of a glimpse, it was encouraging to see them right away attacking the middle of the field this preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who was there on defense. I don't care. It's the simple fact of doing it. It's the simple fact of implementing it. And I think that alone is an encouragement from what we saw last year. I really do. So dude, I'm on that train too. I could see Pat having a big day. I'm on that train.
Yeah. And as far as defensively, I think Minka is going to have a big day. And the reason being is, like I mentioned about Brock Purdy and his arm and his limited snaps, he's been on a snap count. I don't think that they're going to put him through too much work. I don't think we're going to see 35, 40 pass attempts from Brock Purdy. I think they're going to probably try to keep a similar game plan as what the Steelers faced, a few years back when the Steelers went out there in 2019. And, they just kind of kept everything and methodically would move down the field. Our defense was doing great. Minka Fitzpatrick had an explosive day, and he only had a day or two on the team. So I think there's a good possibility if they come out with the same type of game plan and, the same type of I think the same type of outcome is going to come, or Minka's going to have himself a day. Yeah, I think that's possible in this game.
Yeah, I could see that, man. I really could. It's a fascinating game to say the least, because this is a type of game that I've seen more people pick the Steelers to win than San Francisco to win. And I think that this is a great opportunity of an upset type game. I think given in the factors that's going into this game too, especially, I wouldn't be surprised to even see the line change a little bit going like a day before the game or something. Not saying that the Steelers would be favorited, like they'll become the favorite or something like that. But I think it even just kind of changing or increasing in their favor, just given the fact if anybody's out or the fact of just limitation from certain guys. I wouldn't be surprised on that. Let's see. Mark, good to see you, man. Steelers 31, Niners 10. I mean,
that'd be a good day.
My God. Imagine if that was the case.
So the Steelers and the 49ers have two players that are new to their team that are going to be facing together or facing up against each other this upcoming game. Isaac Seumalo for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Hargrave for the 49ers. Who has the edge in that matchup, in your opinion?
It's a good question. It's a good question. Maybe Hargrave, just because how good he's been, man. How good he's been the last 2-3 years, especially with Philly and coming to San Francisco. Now, if Bosa's out, obviously we know Javon. The Steelers know Hargrave, man, and they know that he's he'll probably be a big attention point for them to try to eliminate the best they can. But I'm gonna say Javon, man, just given what he's done given what he did last year, given what he's done even the year before that with Philly. Say Malu's not a slouch either. But San Francisco is going to at least need some production from their line, given if Bosa is out or just is on a limited snap count. And Hargrave's just a monster, dude. So I'd give him the edge. But I don't think that like he's gonna like wreak havoc or anything. I think they'll do a good job at eliminating him. I really do, and I think that we're already gonna see right away an upgrade on that interior week 1.
I do too. This defense though that they're going to be going up against is pretty stout, and especially up front. And I think it's going to be a good test and a good measurement of where the Pittsburgh Steelers are in this situation or are in this point. Now, the other thing
linebackers are good too.
Yeah, their linebackers are good. One of the other factors that could go into the favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers is that the 49ers are dealing with some kicker issues as well. We might actually see Matthew Wright return to Pittsburgh in the 49er uniform and end up being the kicker this week. I think that's Matthew Wright knows the stadium, and he's kicked there successfully. But he doesn't have the leg strength. I mean, I know he's made a 50-yard for in his career, but he had the 8 of the wind, and I think it was downhill and a bunch of different things. So I think that's going to be another factor in favor for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's do a little bit of over under. Let's talk about the Steelers offense. Touchdowns thrown by Kenny Pickett. We're going to put it at 2. Do you think he's over or under 2?
Oh, it's a good number. Am I good to say push?
You can say push.
Okay, I'm gonna say push, man. I like the 2 number, man. I do. I like the 2 number. I think Kenny's gonna come out. He knows what he's got to prove. Even just listening to him the other day on the Steel Here podcast, he knows what's being said. He knows what's being said. He knows what's been talked about. He knows himself. He's got to be better. And I think what we saw this offseason, what we saw this preseason is very encouraging. And I think that he's ready to come out, and I think he's ready to come out, man. And he's ready to make a mark. I have a lot of faith in his mentality. I have a lot of faith in just his overall progression. I like the 2 number. I could see 1, just given the fact of giving respect to San Francisco's defense as well. I could see 1, but I think overall, I think Kenny's going to take care of the ball. I think that he's going to get some looks down the field. I think that we are going to see some middle of the field action, as what you said. I'm okay with 1, even if he just tosses 1, man, and just has productive drives. But I like that 2 mark. Man. I really do. What about you?
Yeah, I'm probably leaning with that 2 as well. I think they're going to have a decent game on the ground. I'm looking forward to what this offensive line is going to be able to do. It looks like they've really pulled together. They seem to be like a night and day difference of what the Pittsburgh Steelers have had in recent years when it comes to the offensive line. So, I think that they're going to end up getting two, which kind of goes into rushing TDs. Doesn't matter if it's Najee, Jalen, could be Kenny, could be a jet sweep. How many rushing TDs? I'm putting it at 1.5 at the mark.
Ooh. It's a good number, man. It's a good number. I'm going to go under. I'm going to say they get one rushing touchdown from Najee Harris. I'm going to say Najee Harris gets a rushing touchdown this game. I'm going to say the Steelers score 3 touchdowns, which would take them to, let's just say, 21, given the fact they get the field goals. And then let's just say they also get an extra field goal. So I like 23 points for them this game. So I'm going to say Harris gets a tutty. Kenny tosses 2. Mark likes Warren getting an extra touchdown. Gene says he's going to go over. Yeah, I like that. I like 3 touchdowns, man. I think 23 points is a fair number.
Call me a homer, but I'm going to go with 2.
Okay.
I think this team's going to blow up this game.
Freaking rack it up. Yeah. I'm all for it.
Let's do it, right? So I think that Naj is probably going to score one from, the goal line. I also think that there's a good possibility if they're that close to the goal line that Kenny could get in. And I do like what Jalen Warren has done in the rushing game. Has that explosive, speed and that home run ability.
Yeah.
So sacks allowed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to go ahead and go with 1.5 as well.
Wait, say that one again.
Sacks allowed or sacks on Kenny Pickett.
1.5. I'm going to say I'll take over. I'll take over. I don't think San Francisco's going to eat, but I can maybe see Kenny getting sacked twice. I could see maybe San Francisco getting a couple sacks. I think just taking into account, we got to wait and see ultimately with Dan Moore. I know that he's had a good camp, a good preseason. He's slotted to start right now, but we got to see some game action for him. He's got a tough few games to start out with. So I think we got to see some action out of him. I think even Okorafor scares me a little bit. But I think just to be fair, I'd see a couple, maybe 3. But I trust Kenny in the sense of Kenny's got the mobility to be able to escape. We saw that last year. I mean, heck, he left pockets even too early last year. Right. So I trust Kenny. Like, I think that San Francisco will get some good pressure. I think when we look at the line week 1, I think, it's going to be like, it's fine, but we played San Francisco, which is a tough ask, a tough defensive ask. I mean, and it is. They were the best defense in the league last year for a reason. So, I could see a few sacks, 2-3 sacks maybe on him, which is okay in the sense of week 1, in the sense of a little bit of a new line, in the sense of just having to kind of see how Dan Moore transitions into year 3, especially. But I think Kenny will get some pressure, but I think overall they'll do it. They'll be okay. They'll do a good job at being able to protect him better. I have a lot more faith, even though it's only week 1. I have a lot more faith in their offensive line this year than I did last year, because now the group has another year together. And then you had Samalu. I know Broderick Jones isn't playing right now, but I like just in terms of you still kind of kept the overall group, and they're going to have another year together under their belt. And I still think we'll see Broderick at some point, but I think when you're going to look at it for what it is, facing the best defense last year, and them maybe only giving up a couple sacks and maybe a few pressures, I think you'll take that. I do.
Yeah, I agree. So. I agree. I'm going to go with the under. I'm going to say 1. I think he's going to be relatively clean. I think they do get to him, but I don't think it's going to be very often. Nick Bosa's holdout, I think, is going to really play a role in their pressure. And Kenny Pickett also has a awareness to throw the ball away and not pad his stats, right? One of the things that, some former quarterbacks would come out on the broadcast and say quarterbacks will run out of bounds, when they have the ball instead of throwing it away, because that's an incompletion in their stat book. And, Kenny Pickett don't care about that. It's about his win. And so I think that he's going to get rid of the ball. He's going to be smart with it. I do think they get to him at least once, but I think he stays relatively clean. What about Kenny Pickett interceptions, throwing interceptions? The line is at 0.5.
Okay. Oh, we see Z in the chat. Yeah, there he is. I'm gonna say under 0.5. I don't think he throws one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think he's gonna throw a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
He protected the ball well last year, second half of the season. Didn't throw a pick in preseason. I think he's gonna protect the ball well throughout this season. I do. I don't think he throws one, man. I don't think San Francisco gets their hands on the pass. Now, could there be a fumble from somebody? Yeah, there could be that. But I don't think that. I think he stays clean.
Nice. Yeah, I'm also going to say that he's not going to throw an interception. Could there be an interception where it bounces off the hands of a receiver or something like that?
Well,
that's possible.
That's
that's the bouncing. Yeah, that's the ball bouncing in places. But when it's his, his throw, his decision making, I don't think he's going to throw that. You're right. He only hit 2 interceptions last year. So I don't, in the second half of the season, I think he is going to limit those. Najee Harris rushing yards. The line is at 75.
75. Ooh. Oh.
Yeah. This one's a good one.
Man, 75 is a good number. I think I still, even if Bosa doesn't play or he's limited, like they still have a stout defensive line. I like their linebackers a lot. 75. Wow, this one's kind of tough. I'll take under, just because I think that San Francisco will still do a good job at being able to contain him. I know Z says easily under, but Z, the thing is that I know that you don't really watch a lot of the Ravens games in general, and you're a Ravens fan. And I know, let alone that you don't watch Steeler games unless they're on TV. Najee was actually pretty effective the second half of the year last year, and I think he's going to have the best season of his career this year. But given the fact of just still their front seven, we'll still go under. I think he'll get a couple passes, but I also think Jaylen Warren will help offset a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I'm also going to go with the under. I'm going to say he's going to come up with around 60 to 70 yards. But I think that all it has to do with the fact that two things. I think that the Steelers are going to utilize a running back by committee a little bit more, maybe not 50-50 exactly, but I think that, Jaylen Warren's going to take probably about 35% of the snaps, and I think that's going to end up affecting Najee Harris's stat line as well. And I do think that the Steelers are going to want to pass a little bit more. This preseason, multiple games where they just came out throwing the ball. They hardly ever ran. Now, is that a indication of what we're going to see in the regular season? Maybe not, but it could be. And, I think that there's that possibility. So I'm going to go ahead and say under. In the last one for the offense, top reception yards. I'm going to go with 80 yards.
From a receiver.
From a single receiver. Doesn't matter which one.
Over. The Steelers, I have a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to pass the ball fairly well this game, man. And there's going to be a receiver that's going to get that, whether that's Pat, whether that's DJ, whether that's Pickens. Somebody's going to get over 80 receiving yards, 100%. I don't think they're just going to pass all day against their defense or anything like that. But I think that they'll be able to. I think that they will be able to find success more in their passing game than maybe in their run game this game. So we'll go over. Not going to pick anybody, but given their weapons, given the amount of talent they have at receiver, somebody's going to get over 80. Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's a good possibility that they're going to get over 80 as well. I think it's going to be Deontay Johnson. I think that the Steelers are going to target him early, and his ability to get open is really good, and his dropping rate isn't really as bad as most people think.
It's an overblown narrative. It's an overblown narrative.
It is. It just seems like it happens at the wrong opportune moments, right? The most weightiest time in the late of the season, third down, a routine play not made routinely. And that's what's the frustrating part. But I think he's going to end up having a bounce back year. And I think he'll end up getting somewhere around 90, 95 yards, if not break the 100. He ended up taking a deep one on the 49ers the last time he played when he was a rookie. So, he has that ability. And if the 49ers come in with that same mentality, the Steelers are going to, throw everything underneath and not really stretch the field. I think we're going to see a lot of stretching of the field very early.
I agree.
So
Z says, I talked to someone at my work today. It's going to the Steelers opener. Is that somebody you work with or a guest? Darwin Nolan, I think DJ and Pickens both get 100 yards and a touchdown. Pickett is much improved. That's pretty big prediction. That'd be huge. That'd be huge if they were able to get that. That'd be humongous. But Daniel, I know that you're high on DJ, man. I know you're high on DJ this year.
This year, yes. In the past years, I wasn't. I really was. But, I really took a notice of what he was doing this year. And I was watching, and he didn't really drop the ball as often as people thought. It's just that it was really magnified because you have a situation where he doesn't get his foot in bounds, and like the Jets, where he catches the ball in the end zone but doesn't get his foot in bounds. He has 0 touchdowns last year. I think he's just got the biggest chip on his shoulder, and he's going to come in here and really try to light it up.
Do you think he scores a touchdown this game?
I do. I think he's one of the passes that ends up getting in the
I think
end zone.
He's going to get a touchdown too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be Pat that end up being the two. If not Pat, it could be Darnell Washington. If the Steelers get into the red zone, I do see a package there that the Steelers come out with 2 tight ends and utilize his height and weight.
Right. Okay. Aquatic makes a good point. San Francisco has no tape on this offense, just runs from last year. Jets sweep them. Yeah, no, it's actually kind of a good point. Like with any new things the Steelers might implement, that's not really quite been seen. So I think the Steelers will definitely be able to have a good opportunity to take advantage of maybe some new things that they're trying to implement, like what we talked about, middle of the field, stretching the field a little bit more down, stuff like that. So that's definitely a good point. We have to kind of wait and see, especially with this offense, with how new it might ultimately be. How much newness, maybe give it a few weeks, really just how much newness there might really be in the playbook. But I have confidence there's at least going to be some new concepts, Daniel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do too. It can't be the same old stuff.
No.
The fact that Kenny Pickett has a full off season, full training camp, being known as a starter. Matt Canada could open up the playbook this year. We're going to see how open it can get. Now, shifting over to the defensive side, Brock Purdy, under over touchdowns at 0.5 through the air.
I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna say he at least throws one. Yeah, I think he'll throw 1 or 2. I do.
I say over as well. I think he gets 1.
Yeah. He's interesting, man. Coming off the elbow injury, what he did last year. We'll ultimately see going up against the Steelers defense what he'll be able to do. I think he might get 1 or 2 though on us. I do. I think he'll get 1 or 2. I could see Niners maybe getting a rushing touchdown instead of maybe another pass touchdown. But he'll at least get over 0.5.
Nice. What about interceptions? The line on that one is at 1.5.
Oh, I'm gonna take the over, man. I think we're gonna pressure the crap out of him.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think we're going to pressure the crap out of him. I think that even with still how young he is, even still with what he did the second half of the year last year, I think that we're going to be able to get him in a vulnerable position to be able to make a couple mistakes.
Yeah,
and it could be costly for them.
Yeah, I'm going with the over as well. I think the Steelers are going to end up with 2, maybe even 3 picks in this game. This defense is brand new too, so there's no tape on them as well as far as what they're going to do. And
absolutely,
everything's brand new. So they're going to go in there with last year's stuff, and it's not anything like what it's going to be this year. I just think that this team's going to end up dominating this team.
I hope so.
Christian McCaffrey touchdowns, whether they're through the air or through the ground, the bar is set at 1.5.
I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say he only gets one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say San Francisco gets a passing one. I'm gonna say that they'll maybe at least get one rushing one. But from McCaffrey, I'll say he only gets one touchdown.
I agree. I'm also saying that the 49ers are probably going to get my prediction for their final score is 17. So I do think they end up getting one. I don't know if it's the same one to Christian McCaffrey or not, but I do think that they'll end up with 2 touchdowns and a field goal when it's all said and done. And maybe even a missed field goal, given the fact that they have some questions at the kicker position, but they end up with 17 at the end of the day. So also going with the under on that one. When it comes to all-purpose yards for Christian McCaffrey, whether they're passing and rushing, the bar's at 90.
90. Okay. So let's see here. All-purpose yards set at 90 for them.
For Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. For Christian McCaffrey. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say he hits the over on that. I'm gonna say he gets over 90. I could see him maybe rushing for like 60 some yards, maybe getting like 30 some receiving yards. I could see that, especially too. Like Darwin says that he makes a good point here with Purdy throwing a lot of short passes, being a lot more safer with some throws. You know, that I could see him, especially even too, if there's just a lot of pressure coming his way and he's just not really getting enough time there to be able to get the ball to one of his other receivers. I could see him checking down a lot to McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So McCaffrey's definitely gonna be a big factor. It's just a matter of how much you minimize him. But I could see a handful of checkdowns. So I'll take the over. Gene takes under. He takes under. Yeah, going under on that one.
I'm going under. You know, the Steelers are a team when they want to neutralize a single player, they're pretty good at it. I remember a couple of years ago, Cooper Kupp came in and he was riding high. He was catch after catch, touchdown after touchdown, and I don't think he ended up with a single catch against the Steelers. He was the guy that the Steelers wanted to neutralize. You know, like I said it with Joe Mixon, he's the guy that the Steelers want to neutralize. I think Jim McCaffrey is going to be the guy that the Steelers want to neutralize. And I think they're going to be fairly effective in doing so. I think they might have, especially if they're doing some sort of passing plays, they might have a spy there for Christian McCaffrey. And if he's blocking or if he decides to, go out on a route late, I think Quan Alexander is going to be that guy that's going to be watching over him. So I do think it's going to be 90. But I don't think it's going to be like significantly low. I don't think they're going to hold him down to like 40 yards. I think he's going to be somewhere around the 80, maybe 75.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. He's, even with him too, man, he's so injury prone himself, but when he's on the field, man, he is so dangerous. So really the big thing, like I said, being able to minimize his impact, being able to pressure Purdy into a place of being vulnerable, that's a recipe for success for their defense, for the Steelers defense. And hopefully we see more of that. Or not more of that. Hopefully that's what we see more of in this game here. So I don't think Purdy's going to be beating us down the field, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think with our pressure, I think with our DBs being there, I don't think he's going to be hurting us down the field too much.
So Pittsburgh Steelers sacks on the 49ers quarterback. The bar is set at 2.5.
They're going to hit the over, dude. Purdy gets sacked 4 times. I'm saying 4.
Yeah.
I'm saying 4.
Yeah, I think the same. I think they're going to go over in at least 3, if not more. I think TJ Watt might be able to break this himself.
Yeah. He might alone. And he's got a chip on his shoulder too, missing time last year. And, there's people kind of talking about some other guys over him right now. So I think he's going to come out, man, and he's going to be like, hey, you can talk about Nick, you can talk about Miles, you can talk about Micah. TJ's the best defensive player in the league. I don't care what anybody says. You can say Aaron Donald. No, Aaron Donald's not anymore. Aaron Donald does not stay on the field.
Mhm.
You can make your case for whoever's the best pure edge. In terms of defensive player overall, in terms of ultimate impact defensive player, TJ Watt's the best.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't. It's like those that try to say like Tom Brady isn't the best quarterback just because he won 7 Super Bowls or whatever. There's other quarterbacks that are better, but at the end of the day, results matter. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
you know, TJ Watt has the results. He has the numbers.
Don't care about your pass win rate, man. I could care less about anybody's pass rush win rate. If there's no results there, why does it matter?
Exactly. 100%.
Says 5. He's taken 5 sacks. Yeah, I could see that. This and the thing too about the Steelers week 1 that they do, they always freaking come out. Now they don't win every time week 1. But dude, they always come out ready to freaking play the first game of the year.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a great opportunity, taking advantage against a little bit of a crippled Niners team, some question there at quarterback. It's just a great opportunity for them to be able to attack their weaknesses, and a great opportunity to be able to come out with a victory, and of just in the sense of saying, yeah, you know, we're here, man. We're right here. And San Francisco playing them week 1 is probably the best scenario in terms of at any point in time of the season to play them. Aquatic says, true, Purdy will have issues, too much confusion in the secondary coupled with pressure. Yeah, that's the thing. We have to kind of see how much he wants to, in terms of their passing game plan, really how well that elbow is. And it's going to be telling in terms of how much, where he's throwing, how much he's trying to maybe get the ball down the field. If he's going to play conservative, if he's going to play safe, don't know. But I could see that being a likely scenario of just a lot of pressure, couple mistakes of vulnerability, and maybe just some caution, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And this one's going to be, how many turnovers do the Pittsburgh Steelers cause? And the line is going to be at 1.5.
Over. So they're gonna get at least 2 to 3 turnovers this game, whether that's through picks, whether that's through a forced fumble, whatever it is. I think they pick off Purdy at least once or twice. I know I took the over on the one that you said, but they're gonna at least get 2 to 3 turnovers.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think this is going to be a very dominant game for the Pittsburgh Steelers at the end of it.
Yeah,
you know, I think that the Steelers end up winning this game, and I'm going to ask you for your score here as well.
Yeah,
but I think the Steelers end up winning 28-17.
That'd be a great win.
Yeah, that definitely would. You know, that's an 11-point win. That is a good showing week 1. What are your scores? And let us know in the comment section what your scores are.
Yeah, guys, put in the comment section what your scores are. It's a scary rush. Aquatic, win rate versus inexperienced quarterbacks, very good. My T specialty, yeah, for sure. So Daniel said 28. What'd you say? 28-17.
28-17.
28-17. I'm gonna go 23-19. So not quite as a gap as Daniel's, but I think we're gonna look at the defense. Jared Devil says 28-9. Good guys, that'd be pretty remarkable. I'm gonna say still defense just has a great day. Even if they give up 19, that's still a good number to only give up. You should be able to win most games only giving up 19. I could maybe see the defense just giving up a couple touchdowns, couple field goals at the end of the day. Think that they're going to get to Purdy. They're going to rush and pressure him well. It's going to cause a couple mistakes. I think the Steelers offense is ready to show some people that this isn't the offense from last year, and nor should it be. So I like 23. Darwin says 31-13 Steelers. Let's freaking go, dude. George 2017-16 Steelers. I'm going to say 23-19. Just Steelers get some good opportunity on offense. They get some good opportunity off of some defensive turnovers. I think that Kenny's going to have some good productive drives as well. And we're just going to sit back and look at it and say, this is just a great overall win, man. Defense played pretty well. Did their best to contain McCaffrey, got Purdy into mistakes. To do that, we know there's a lot of expectations for this defense. And offensively, we're going to look at it and say, hey, man, they got 23 their first game. They had productive drives. They got a couple touchdowns against the San Francisco defense. and it should make us all. I think it'll make us all feel pretty good just about going forward, especially against some of these other teams we'll be facing where defenses aren't really quite good.
Yeah, this is the Steelers
24-13. What's up, man?
Yeah, if the Steelers end up winning this game, the schedule isn't very tough until the bye week. I mean, the toughest team is going to be the Ravens right before the bye week, which we'll see where they are, when that time comes. I don't have a lot of faith in Lamar Jackson. I don't have a lot of faith in his health. Odell Beckham can be the same. He's had 2 ACL injuries on the same knee. And, I don't know. He's up there in age for receiver. I don't think he's going to be the impact player that they're paying him to be. I don't think that same thing can be said for Lamar. I don't think he's going to make that contract what it's worth. I think the Steelers, they have Lamar's number. I think they end up, if they can win this game, I can see this team easily going, 5-0 going into the break.
5-0, maybe even 4-1 or something like that. I could see that. I think there's a good opportunity to at least start 4-1. 3-2 probably looks like they're realistic, just given the fact that there's still some young guys there. There's maybe a little bit of just trying to adjust to maybe some new things in the offense, maybe a little bit of the line. But I think between 3-2 and 5-0, I mean, I'll take that going in the bye week, man.
Yeah, I would too. And when it comes to this team, there's so much optimism and so much, this, everybody thinks that this team, especially if you're a Steelers fan, you're definitely thinking that this team's going to be able to make a run this year. All the pieces are in place. I think it's there. I think I've seen the improvement in the offense just through preseason. And I know a lot of people will say, hey, no, it's just preseason. The defenses are vanilla, things like that. That's not entirely true. There's some stuff that's out there. The thing is, there's not as much planning for the team, right? You're not going into film study as much, stuff like that. But, you still have to be able to read the concepts, understand you're going to want to throw based on what you're seeing. And it wasn't like this team had to come back in the fourth quarter to win these games, where it's the backups. It was the first team offense versus the first team defense, and first team defense versus first team offense, and where they manhandled these teams throughout the preseason. So I want to see that transition into this game. I want to say thank you to everybody in the live chat. Do you have any final words?
I just shout out everybody. Aquatic says can't call it, want a blowout, can see a tight game because of San Francisco's defense. So many unknowns. Win for Pittsburgh though. Aquatic also asks, what about Calvin Austin? The return game could change. Hey, the small opportunity we saw that we had to see, or we were able to see, of Calvin Austin in the return looks promising. So if he's able to just even have some productive runs, I could see him breaking one off this year. But if he's able to just have some productive runs, man, get him in that 50, 45-yard line on their side of the ball, man. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. And that's something that they have not been able to have on a consistent level for the last 4 or 5 years. Since Antonio Brown, let's just put it that way. They have not been able to. So if they're able to get something out of Calvin Austin in that way, that would be absolutely humongous. But yeah, all you guys in the chat, always good to see you guys. Gene, Aquatic, and Daredevil, Jaime, and Aquatic. I mean, just all you guys, even anybody else I'm missing here. Z was obviously in the comment section. Darwin Nolan. Mark in the chat. Steelers fan was in the chat. Let's see, anybody else. Derpy Entertainment put some thoughts of his out there. Robert Hanlon. Frosty the Bear 69, Robert Cotting. I mean, just all you guys in the chat. George.
Yeah, we appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in.
Yeah, all you guys. We always appreciate it, fellas.
We'll probably do a later show on Saturday if we end up doing one. It's my daughter's birthday party, so I'll be doing that early. But later on in the evening, I should be for a preview. What to expect. Keys to victory type of thing, and that'll be on Nathan's channel. It's in hindsight. let everybody else know where you have another podcast. Who are these
Yep.
guys? Is that correct?
Yep. Have another podcast, guys. Who are these guys? With my friend Z, who's been in the comment section here. We're actually going to be recording night, putting out tomorrow. Just our overall predictions on the NFL season, on even just going through each division and taking a look at each team's schedule and stuff like that. So I'm also going to upload it to my channel too, just for the heck of it. But you guys can give that a look at. It's just called Who Are These Guys podcast on YouTube. We've just kind of been starting it up for a few months. So him and I just kind of talk about whatever, maybe sports, entertainment, video games, just fun stuff like that. So we do that, guys. But my main channel right there, as you see in hindsight, I know pretty much all you guys follow it. So appreciate your guys' support over there. I'm going to be putting out a video either tonight or tomorrow where I just kind of give my own predictions on the Steelers season this year. But yeah, so we'll see, Daniel. Yeah, you can just let me know, man, if you want to do a show Saturday night, if you're able to. If not, that's all right. We'll do one after the game. But guys, just kind of keep up to date on, you guys will get the notification at all if we're going live on Saturday or not.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with that being said, y'all, we'll see you guys probably this weekend.
Yep.
Go Steelers. Here we go. Week 1 is finally on its way.